Hey everybody, welcome back to Bayou Time. Harry McCullough here. We're wrapping up the years in many different ways, and no different for the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government. They'll have their final meeting of the year as all the representatives get together. Here to talk about that meeting and a little bit more, actually a lot more, is Jessica Domangue, District 5 Council Chairwoman. Thanks so much for being with us. This is it for you, though, right? You're wrapping things up, and we were just talking about since the election, just the whirlwind of events that have happened in your life as you wrap up the year here. You're still in the council, still the chairperson in the council, and you're trying to get situated as a freshman in legislator in Baton Rouge. So you've had a little bit going on recently, huh?
Yeah, it's been a little busy. I mean, if you would have told me 5 years ago that you would be a state representative, I would have told you to shut up. I mean, like, I would have been like, that's crazy.
Things happen fast, right?
There's no way. Life is funny like that. It puts you exactly where you need to be. And the transition has been great. We're absolutely looking forward to what's ahead. It's been a little busy lately.
Yeah, well, I imagine. Yeah, even on a bigger scale, when you think about the Obamas were just like first time senators, and next thing you know, he's running for president. Same with that Mike Johnson, who was just in Congress, now he's Speaker of the House. Mm-hmm. So things can happen fast when they start rolling like that. So it's good. So let's you're still a mom too. You got 2 kids that you got to take care of. You got Christmas time and all of that. So is that all? Is everybody kind of on Team Domangue getting ready to go here?
Yeah, no, Team Domangue is great. We actually brought the girls up to the Capitol last week, and we got to give them a Capitol tour, and they loved it. They got to pretend to be Speaker of the House, and
Nice.
we voted who would be the best speaker. I think my little one would be the best speaker out of the 2 of them. She's a bit more outgoing.
The babies usually
she's
are.
a bit more bossy. We say she's going to be a lawyer
sure.
one day. So that was really fun. They got to run around in all the basement and everything. It was just a really cool experience for them. So we were able to do that. Christmas is around the corner. They got a couple more days left of school. Santa Claus is all ready to come. Mm-hmm. They got a big secret surprise coming that they don't want to, we don't want to spill the beans on,
Sure.
but they're going to be really, really excited. So we're looking forward to taking a little bit of downtime for the next couple of weeks, and then really start rolling come January. We get inaugurated on January 8th, and the governor has already called a special session for January 15th, which is the earliest.
Yeah, let's get rolling, yeah.
Well, we have to deal with redistricting.
Sure,
yeah,
absolutely.
which is by law, and with the court battles and everything.
Or the judge is going to do
Yeah,
it. Right.
they said that we have until about mid-January to bring them some maps. And so absolutely, here, throw it
January
to the fire.
15th is kind of like mid-January.
You're right, exactly. I think they're going to give us some leeway just because by law, the governor has to give 7 days notice. And so since he's not taking office to the 8th, the earliest he could do. And so they're going to give us a little bit of flexibility. But I have a feeling that's going to be a really quick turnaround. So let's hope that we can come up with something that everybody is happy with.
Yeah, chances are slim, but yeah,
exactly.
We'll
Right.
we'll see. We'll talk about Baton Rouge in a second, but let's talk about your 4 years here, looking back, and not just you changing. The whole council changes every 4 years here too.
Yeah,
and a new parish president.
Look, it's been incredible. I think you've got 4 of us going out and 5 coming in. I can't remember the exact numbers, but I mean, it's going to be a big turnaround on the council. We've got the new parish president, so there's going to be a little bit of growing pains at the beginning there. But we have all faith that there's going to be a great team. I've met several times with the new parish president, as well as the new District 5 councilman as well, to ensure that our projects continue and the things that we worked on, we're able to finish those things, and just have a nice transition between kind of where we were and where we're going. And I'm looking forward to see what they're due. I mean, every parish president has his own priorities. Michelle Claudet was kind of a roads parish president. Gordy, of course, was a levee and flood protection parish president. I'm interested to see what's going to be Jason Bergeron's priorities. Like, what is he going to be known for? Is he going to be known as the quality of life parish president? And I'm looking forward to being part of that team and that transition, because he can't do anything without the delegation. The delegation needs the parish president as well as the council. So we all have to have a good relationship with
You
each other to
do.
work.
And yeah, it's not like you're not going to be working with this council or this parish president, again, just because you're in Baton Rouge.
Correct. Yeah. No one works in a silo. We all have to be part of that team. And so I feel as though we've really kind of, things have really kind of got where they need to be. And I just think that God has a plan for all of us. And I think that God had a plan for me to get in this position and for Tanner to step down whenever he did. I mean, we all love Tanner to death. And he served the parish so well, and he did such an amazing job at what he did. And the timing of him stepping down and me stepping up, it couldn't have come at a better time. So, and having the new administration come in. So I just feel like there's a plan there, and I really want to see what happens and kind of where that brings us, because I really think that there's a lot of really good things that we can do.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, it's very important for everybody here. 30 seconds to talk about this last meeting. Just wrapping things up. Do you have to do anything special in this
Yeah,
last
no,
council meeting?
we've got a little bit of administrative things to do. Of course, we still have things in the budget that we have to deal with. We still have ordinances that we proposed 2 weeks ago that we need to put through as well. I think there's a presentation by Tita, which we're really excited to kind of see where Tita is. But it's more of a ceremonial meeting. Lots of goodbyes, lots of speeches. We've got some people leaving, and so it will be a fun meeting.
Yeah. All right. More with Jessica. We'll be right back on Bayou Time right after this.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health Systems, modern technology, and timeless caring. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights.
Everybody, welcome back to the show. We're speaking with Jessica Domangue, of course, the chairwoman for the parish council. Jessica, we were talking about, the transition, moving on, wrapping up the year. Let's wrap up your 4 years. How has that been being part of this council over the last 4 years?
4 years, it feels like 20 years. I mean,
Seems like you've been doing this all your life.
Well, let's just kind of reflect back on the last 4 years that we've had here in Terrebonne Parish.
Cool.
We took office in 2019. We were in office for 3 months. 3 months. And we got hit by a pandemic, a global pandemic. Who knows what to do with that? And I think that here in Terrebonne Parish and under the Dove administration and President Dove's leadership, we did a really good job, because we didn't have the mask mandates. We didn't have the lockdowns. I even want to say, with the leadership of our school board, we're one of the only school districts in the state of Louisiana that didn't close. The children continued to go to school. We adapted, but we didn't have mandates on vaccines. We didn't have mandates on masks. We stayed open. And I remember Gordy several times, he said, we're going to have a common sense mandate, meaning if you feel that you want to wear it, then wear it. But if you don't feel like, and I remember
it's encouraged, but it's not mandatory.
Yeah, and then I remember one of the biggest controversies was whenever President Dove still wanted to do his Christmas parade. And that was at the end of 2021. And or was it 2020? I'm sorry. It was at the end of 2020. And President Dove still wants to do the Christmas parade. And he said, we're going to do it. If you want to come, come. If you don't, don't. I mean, we did it in a safe way. People were encouraged to wear masks. Of course, some did, some didn't. They had a great time. It was an outside event. But just to kind of reflect back on that time, because they don't give you a handbook and say, all right, if there's a global pandemic, this is what you do, and this is what the decisions you have to make. And those decisions were really important at that time. Locally, it wasn't quite as big as the state and the national, but we still had some big decisions to make. We had to do those Zoom meetings. Remember,
sure.
I mean, we weren't even in our chambers for 3 months, and we had to have Zoom meetings, and then we had to end up having the meetings at at the Civic Center, and we're all spaced out. And that seems like a million years ago. And then, we caught our breath from that. And then we got hit by the biggest hurricane that any of us, I think, has ever experienced in our lifetimes. And so, and the struggles that we've all had with that, and where we are in our recovery. So it's just been, I would say, an unprecedented 4 years for this council. I can't even imagine another council that had to deal with the same difficulties and tragedies that we had to deal with. We lost our clerk, Suzette, and she ended up passing away of cancer in the middle of all this. And so it just seemed like it was just one thing after another after another. Two of our staff members, Tammy Triggs and Keith, they were troopers, and they worked. They were the only two employees for about a year and a half when Suzette was sick, and they worked through the hurricane alone. They did all these things, and they're still there, and they're still smiling. They still love their job. We now have a full staff. But all of those things where people didn't really quite appreciate how difficult it was for this council during those times to still make good decisions for the parish and still be fair to people and still get projects done. And so that's where the teamwork aspect really comes into play, because we really had to be a family. We really had to be a team during that time. And then now we're kind of in this place where we've got some leaving, we got some staying, we've got new people coming in. And so it's just going to be very exciting to see where they go. But I certainly pray that they never have to experience a 4 years like we experienced.
It was really
incredible.
incredible.
That was absolutely incredible, just to think back and reflect on all the things we were building base camps, and we were feeding people, and we had people sleeping in the street, and there were tents, and it was unbelievable to think back at.
Well, we had that great football season for LSU in 2019. It was like we had to pay for it somewhere.
Yeah,
It was like, this is unbelievable. This is the greatest ever. And it was like the next 3 years we're like, oh my goodness. It's incredible.
Yeah.
But I don't want to compare this to 9/11 at all, but the country seemed to come together after 9/11, after we were attacked. It did seem like we kind of came together as a community too. You kind of put all that little bickering aside, where people could kind of work together instead of, like the rest of the country right now, so divided in a lot of ways. It did make us kind of come together, and I feel that there was a togetherness in our community.
Absolutely. I think there was some togetherness. Now, we had a bit of a contentious election cycle, I think everybody saw. But now that it's over, it's done, it's happened. The people who are in place are in place. I really hope and pray that everybody can come together for the greater good of Terrebonne Parish. I know I'm open to work with everybody. I've spoken to everyone, opened my doors to everyone. I think that we're on the right path. I really do. I think that I always joke with Jason. He had the best campaign line, moving Terrebonne forward, because I always would accidentally say it, and then I said, I can't say that because, I don't want to feel like I'm on one side or the other. But it's such a great campaign slogan, because we do need to move forward, and we need to continue to progress, because if we don't start progressing, or if we don't continue to progress, we're going to die.
Sure.
So
it's a critical time for us.
Yeah, it's an absolute critical time.
And elections are one thing. We don't have coups, but once the election is over, I guess it doesn't make sense now talking about what happened after the last election federally. But anyway, we all want to kind of come together now. Let's make sure we do the best, because it is still post-pandemic, post-hurricane. We all need to move forward. Jessica,
Absolutely.
We got one more segment. We'll be right back with Bayou Time right after this.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough.
All right, welcome back to Bayou Time. Spending some time with Jessica Domangue, the chairperson of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government, the council. And you got a new job that starts on January 8th. New governor will be sworn in as well. So let's look ahead to that position. And where do you think the state goes when we have for the first time in 8 years, you're going to have a Republican governor, and you got a supermajority in both houses as well?
So the governor has already, he can't officially call until January 8th, but we got an email late last night that said, get ready, pack your bags. You're going to be here on January 15th for a special session on redistricting, which we have until about the end of January to produce a map. They had started some of the work this past session. Governor Edwards has vetoed it. And so that's going to be our first challenge, is to really come up with a map that is sufficient for everyone. I have a feeling that whatever we end up doing is going to end up being taken to court and challenged anyway. So we'll see where that goes. The second special session, and this was one of the governor-elect's campaign promises, is he wanted to do a special session on crime. So he's called that one as well. It's going to be around the end of February, and we're going to go in for about 3 weeks before our regular session, just to deal with crime in Louisiana, which you know as well as I do.
Sure.
That's a big deal. And that was something I talked about on this show as well, is our drug epidemic and our mental health crisis and all those things, and the way they kind of are a piece of the pie. And so that will be an exciting conversation to have. I'm sure he's got some really good ideas, Governor-elect Jeff Landry, about kind of where to go and where to take this. But we absolutely need to do something about crime and about poverty in this state. And so
Enforcement of crime.
and enforcement of crime, and it just everything, and education opportunities. It all plays into the bigger picture,
Right.
as far as crime in Louisiana. And so I'll be excited to have that conversation. And being that I'm a clinical social worker, I feel like I have a very strong voice as far as advocating for our communities and things like that. So that's our first
Two special
priorities.
sessions
Right,
before your regular
two
session.
special sessions before our regular session, and then we'll of course go into regular session, and we'll have to kind of see where everything goes, and kind of what it is that is going to be the priority this
Well,
year.
8 years ago, I guess, when they first went in, and a lot of the guys went in, we had like $2 billion deficit that we had to do. So a lot of that was hospitals, colleges, and trying to figure out all of those things as well. At least fiscally, you don't have to worry about that. This is more, I don't want to say social, but I think it is more of a social issue as opposed to fiscal issues where you're making cuts and that kind of stuff.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So obviously, I haven't seen what else is on the agenda. We haven't even been
Tax reform's always big.
They have discussed tax reform. Actually, Richard Nelson, who ran for governor, is actually on that transition team, and so he was interviewed a few days ago, and he says, "What about tax reform?" He said, "I'm going to get started on it on January 8th." So that will be exciting as well, because that's something that we absolutely need. But we haven't been assigned yet our committees, so we don't quite know where we are as far as in the piece of the pie. I requested some specific committees so that we can get to work and continue on coastal restoration and working on working for our shrimping industries and things like that. So we'll kind of see what happens. Obviously, I'm a freshman, and so we don't
Right,
always
freshman. I was
we
about to
don't
say.
always get what we want. But
Go from a chairperson to a freshman.
yeah. It's like you're a little bitty minion in this big thing, But it is exciting being one of the 105. I mean, it's just it's a bit surreal. The fact that I just ran for office 4 years ago, and now I'm in this.
You're a politician now.
Yeah, right. I'm in this position, and so it is a bit overwhelming, but we've really enjoyed the process, and everybody's been so kind and nice and welcoming, and lots of meetings, not lots of traveling, and so it's been good.
So your constituency, when they talk to you about stuff, you already have your office in place and that kind of stuff?
No. So we cannot officially get everything in place until the 8th. I do have a legislative assistant. I do have an office space where I believe will be my office. But as far as phone numbers and email addresses and everything like that, everything goes into effect on January 8th when we take office. Because technically,
You still work for Terrebonne Parish.
technically I'm still a council person, and technically Tanner is still our state representative until the transition. But we are working on everything, and it's coming together. It's coming together nicely. So we'll be ready to rock and roll come that first special session. We'll be ready to go. And so I know a lot of people follow me on my social media platform. It's Councilwoman Jessica Domangue. Please continue to follow that page, because come January 8th, we're just going to switch it to our legislative page, and we'll have all of our updated information, as well as the state legislature website. We'll have all our updated information there as well.
How's your family going to deal with that as you make a transition to Baton Rouge, and there's a lot of different time constraints, I would imagine now, right?
Yeah, there is. Luckily I've been in this position for 4 years now, and so my family has gotten accustomed to me being away. And being at meetings and being gone. And my husband is a great resource, and he helps out so much. And so other than me being gone a couple nights a week, I think we're going to be okay. Yeah.
And you can drive as fast as you want, right?
Right, exactly.
I'm just kidding. She still has to follow the laws.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and best of luck for sure.
Thank
in
you.
Baton Rouge. We'll be right back with more Bayou Time after this.